Our eyes are the windows to our soul. I'm sure most of us have heard this saying because ancient and modern literature is filled with references to the power that our eyes hold. For example, Paulo Coelho, the author of The Alchemist, said, "No one can lie. No one can hide anything when he looks directly into someone's eyes." And where else do we look, in fact, when we're looking for the truth in someone's words? We look into their eyes. And that isn't just for the sake of sentiment or thanks to some literary reference. You see, there's actually a physiological response that occurs that we subconsciously, if not innately, know to look for. When someone is excited or scared or overcome with passion, an ancient, unalterable part of our nervous system is triggered. That causes a whole host of changes throughout our body, including causing our pupils to dilate. So it may be true that our eyes are the windows to our soul, but I'd also like to say that our eyes are the windows to our health. As an optometrist, I spend much of my time looking directly into my patient's eyes through these windows. And what I see is as inspiring as any famous quote. However, if you were to ask someone you know what they think an optometrist does, you may conjure up images like these. And you may hear them say something like, "Well, they check my vision." Or better yet, they'll say, "They ask me which I prefer, option 1 or option 2. But when I show my patients images like these, they are often left in awe by the beauty and complexity of their eyes. And our eyes are truly complex structures. The retina, which is this paper-thin layer in the back of our eye, responsible for detecting light, is actually composed of 10 separate layers and over 100 million cells. When these cells catch a ray of light, they send a signal shooting down the optic nerve to the visual system in the back of our brain to be interpreted. But it turns out that as much as 50% of our brain is directly or indirectly involved in our vision. That means half of our brain is somehow involved in the function of these 1-inch orbs inside our heads. There are more neurons in our brain dedicated to vision than there are for all of our other senses combined. It's been estimated that if our eyes were digital cameras, they would have the combined resolution of over 500 megapixels. Let's put that into context. That shiny new smartphone that you have, the one that takes those amazing photos in dim light or those beautiful portrait mode images, that camera has about 20 megapixels. And the most expensive, most advanced digital camera that you can buy, that one has about 100 megapixels. Compare that again to the 500 of our eyes, and we can start to appreciate the power and magnitude of the human visual system. In fact, even Apple, one of the biggest, most innovative companies on the planet, appreciates the magic of the human visual system. When they wanted us to know in one word how amazing the resolution was on their new screen, they called it the retina display. But the retina is not simply composed of light-detecting cells. It is also comprised of vital components related to our systemic health as well. The retina is the window to our health. The little red lines you see on the picture, those are the blood vessels in the back of the eye. And they are directly connected to the major blood vessels in our brain and by extension to our heart. The optic nerve, which is that little yellow circle that you see, that is actually a part of our brain called a cranial nerve that starts in the back of the brain and plugs into the back of the eye. That makes the retina the only place in the entire body that we can simply take a photo or use a lens to view our blood vessels and a part of our brain in their natural environment without the need of a CT, MRI, or any other such scan. Through the retina, then, we can view in real time potential systemic health changes such as diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, and many other potentially life-threatening conditions without ever having drawn blood or looked at a lab result. Subtle cues such as constriction or dilation of these blood vessels can indicate the early onset of a disease. But more obvious changes such as swelling, bleeding, leakage of fluid, or blockage of blood vessels can inform us if a patient is dealing with a more advanced stage of a condition. And many times we are seeing this in our exam room before this patient has seen their doctor or ever been diagnosed of this condition in the first place. Just a few weeks ago, I had a young lady patient, 25 years old. She came in because her vision was fluctuating recently. Sometimes it was blurry, sometimes not too bad, sometimes it was a little disorienting. She thought maybe she needed glasses. She'd never had them before. So she came in. As she sat in the exam room, we went through our process. We checked her vision, but more importantly, we took a close look at her ocular health. Looking at her retinal images, it was clear to see that the optic nerve in the back of the eye was swollen. And remember, the optic nerve is a part of our brain that we see through our eyes. We immediately referred this patient for further testing, and it turned out she did have a tumor in her brain. Fortunately, thanks to this early diagnosis, we're told the tumor can be removed and she should be able to move forward with minimal repercussions. But this is not the first patient I have seen with an undiagnosed brain tumor, and definitely not the first coming through our doors with undiagnosed systemic conditions. We are seeing them all the time. It's no surprise then that eye care professionals such as myself continually stress the importance of routine eye exams. The same way we would want to maintain the optimal function of any of our ultra-advanced digital devices, we should also strive to maintain, if not enhance, the function of our own powerful, beautiful, complex visual system. So by now you could probably tell I'm passionate about eyes. I'm passionate about educating my friends, my family, my patients, the public, about the importance of eye care, the fact that our eyes are connected to everything else in our body. They are the windows to our soul and to our health. And through this passion, I find myself expressing my thoughts in different ways. And I'd like to share one last message with you before I finish. So, it's true. I do ask my patients which they prefer, option 1 or option 2. It's a simple choice, and you might not even have to try. But like everything else, there's more to what we do than meets the eye. Option 1 is when we take our health and vision for granted. Poor diet, no exercise, too much stress and worry. It's no surprise that things are changing. They might even seem a little blurry. But with option 2, I hope I can take away your fear. Let's talk about how we can keep you healthy and maybe make your vision more clear. We like to see you yearly so you can see clearly, but it isn't just merely about your sight. You see, prevention is our goal. Looking deep into your eyes, but not at your soul. Instead, the reflection they provide of your body as a whole. But we hear it all the time. Hey, doc, it's okay. My vision is fine. It's only at night I have to squint to see the sign. You see, I'm spinning my wheels to improve the myopia that keeps you short-sighted and does not let you see. The choices we make today are not about now. They're about who we will be. So after I've shown you all that I can show, and I've told you all that I know, the choice comes down to you. Which do you prefer? Option 1 or option 2?